Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. You know me as Sam. Today, I have a guest that I'm so excited about. Some of my clients will actually recognize some of the things that I read today that Kevin has done. His name is Kevin Benavides, and he is a transformational coach. And Kevin, I'm going to read your bio and then we'll have you share a little bit. By his mid 20s, Kevin had everything his family and society said would make him happy: a wife, kids, a house, and a steady 9 to 5 job. But inside, he was consumed by anxiety, deeply afraid of upsetting others, being rejected, or dealing with any sort of conflict. His passivity left his wife carrying the weight of their lives alone as he took a back seat in his marriage that was falling apart. In 2013, a health crisis with his father forced him to confront the emotional pain from his childhood that he buried deep within himself. Along his journey, he realized that his nice guy patterns was a main contributor to his struggles in his life and marriage. Through therapy, coaching, and relentless inner work, we know what that's like. He was able to break these patterns and become a man who could not only lead his family with emotional maturity, but lead himself with authenticity and confidence. Kevin's journey inspired him to create the canvas within and step into coaching. Now, Kevin takes his personal experiences and the training he's invested in to help other men heal their past, break free from similar patterns, and step into being emotionally mature and authentic men. Kevin, I'm so thrilled to meet with you. So thank you so much for coming in.
Well, thank you for having me today. Looking forward to our conversation.
In a few minutes, I'm going to read some of the memes or posts that you've made because they're just fantastic. But my audience is an infidelity driven and addiction driven audience. And for those of you that are watching and listening, today is going to be specifically geared towards men. Now, if you're a woman, there are going to be some great things that you can pick up on, either for yourself or your husband or partner. So please don't think there won't be some great substance here. But today's going to be power packed in helping men who've been unfaithful or betrayed really understand some things on kind of an inner child emotional maturity level. So, Kevin, let me get out of the way and ask you, why do you do what you do?
Yeah, I do the work that I do because I've gone through it myself, through my own journey of healing, of my inner work on improving upon myself and my marriage. That opened the door to this passion. I've for many years, I was very passionate about personal development and healing. And so I would read a lot of things, learn a lot of things, talk about a lot of things online, but I didn't do anything other than that. And so the beginning or in 2020, I decided to make a change in my career and I chose to go after the thing that I've always wanted to do, which is to help people. Initially, it was people. I just want to help human beings. And in the same, realm of work that I've done on myself. But as I started and I dove into coaching and I got training and all that stuff, everyone around me and all these signs were pointing at you're meant to work with men. And at first, I was like, no, no, because for a very long time, I was, in a sense, afraid of men.
Yeah.
And so, without saying it, I was trying to work with women, but everything was pointing me to work with men. And so, I followed that calling, as scary as it was. And it was the best decision because in reality, a lot of us men, there's so many men that need this type of support that you give, support that I give. And it's just opening that door to letting men know that they're not alone in this. And I do this work with men because a lot of men have a hard time connecting and being supported by a woman. Like she doesn't understand me. She hasn't gone through what I'm going through. And so that's what I hear a lot from the men that I end up coaching is they're like, I want to work with you because you've gone through similar things. You're a man, you know what it's like. And so having that obviously relatability is so key. But at the end of the day, I do this because I've gone through this and I know the power in this work and how important it is for us as men and obviously society, the world, the planet, right? For us to heal and really step into that most authentic, mature version of ourselves.
Wonderfully said. And I work with so many men who have to do this inner work the infidelity or the addiction is what has kind of forced the issue. So,
Hmm.
in your bio, talking about emotional maturity and learning how to lead ourselves, but we can't lead men to a place we've never gone to ourselves, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I can only coach someone as far as I've gone with myself.
I
Yeah.
read one of your memes to guys all the time, and I'm going to read it because
Yeah. Go for
I know a lot of my clients are going to be like, "Oh, this is the guy that Sam reads
it.
stuff to frequently." But and this is really good for you women that might be listening, but really, really spot on for men. In one of your posts, you say the boy that had to manage his mom's emotions just to feel safe often becomes the man who can't function or relax when his wife is upset. As a boy, you depended upon your mom for almost everything, so her mood, energy, and emotions dictated a lot of your own world. If she was happy, you felt safe. If she was stressed, sad, or angry, you felt that in your body. You made it your job to keep your mom okay. You became an expert at reading your mom's moods. You knew when to be quiet, knew when to be helpful, and knew when to stay out of the way. You learned to say the right thing, act the right way, and push down your own emotions and needs so you don't add to her burdens. Without your mom being happy, it was like your whole world was unstable. And that's why, as a man, you struggle to deal with your wife being anything but happy, because deep down you were conditioned to believe that her emotions were your responsibility. Deep down, your inner child believes that a woman's emotions determines whether or not you're safe and worthy. Your inner child treats your wife like your mom, and it's holding you back from being the man your marriage needs. You might think you're supporting your wife, but if your first instinct is to panic and fix or dismiss her feelings or avoid them altogether, she doesn't feel like you truly see her. She ends up feeling alone. Your lack of leadership in your marriage, your struggle to make decisions with confidence, and how you second guess yourself, waiting for your wife's approval happens because you're more focused on keeping your wife happy than doing what's right or needed. Of course, this isn't your fault. You were supposed to be responsible for your mom's emotions. You were just a kid trying to survive. You never learned to deal with your emotions, and now you shut down, panic, or rush to fix things with your wife, not because of her, but because her emotions trigger the same fear you felt as a boy who couldn't make his mom happy. And I'll stop right there. It is such a phenomenal picture that helps men go, oh my gosh, she gets upset in this dynamic and I crash and burn. Why do we do that? I mean, help these guys understand, for those of us that may have a mother wound or a father wound, when we are taught, if we're parentified, where we're always trying to keep mom or dad happy, what does that do for us as adult men?
It's wired into our nervous system, our psyche, our unconscious. And so that's why it's so automatic, is because we've learned that for us to feel safe inside and to feel good about ourselves, that person that we love so much has to be in a certain mood. And so it's again, like it said in that post, it's not your fault, right? You weren't meant to have to keep mom and or dad in a good state for you to feel safe. You should have had that safetiness regardless. But due to your circumstances growing up, it's just what had to happen, right? We have to do what we have to do as kids to survive. And so if that means I'm going to stay quiet, say nothing, be the joker of the family, be whatever you have to do to get that person who's meant to care for me to be in a good state so that they can take care of me, I'll do whatever I need because that's what I need to survive. Right? And so again, this gets wired into us. And now as we grow up and, become grown men and get into adult relationship with women, we're not thinking about this consciously, but our interactions show it. And so, one of the ways that I say this is like when you're in a relationship with your girlfriend or with your wife, you're looking at this beautiful woman and you're interacting with her like a woman that you've chosen, but I say your inner child, but it's really your unconscious doesn't see girlfriend or wife, sees mom or sees
Mm,
dad, depends on the situation. In that scenario, in that post, it's mom, right?
yeah.
And so you're not consciously thinking about this, but unconsciously, it's picking up on the same cues, it's reacting in the same ways. And so the awareness of it is always the first step, right? And so that's why, yes, that post hit home for so many guys. I got a lot of guys reaching out to me like, oh my gosh, you make sense of so much of what I've been struggling with. And now it's like, okay, now you're awakened to that.
Yeah.
Now it's moving forward and doing the work to heal and break those patterns, right? Because yeah, you don't know how to deal with that person that you've committed to, that you love so much. You don't know how to deal with them when they're unhappy, when they
Right.
have quote unquote bad moods, right? And so it's like I, I don't know, I can't remember the origin of your question initially, but it's knowing that this is wired into us and it's not our fault,
Yeah.
but we can definitely rewire ourselves so that we can interact differently in these situations, right?
And I think that's a great point. So people bust my chops all the time. What's the work? What's the work? And I always make a joke. It's the work that obviously you or your partner is not doing. And that's why you need to find the help of an expert to find out what that work is, like self-confrontation, maybe forgiveness, maybe unprocessed grief. So when you talk about they need to do the work to rewire their nervous system or their brain, what are some of the things that you help men work through to no longer turn their wives into their mom, but to get
Sure.
back into an adult relationship?
Yeah, couple of things. One, it's the emotional boundaries, separating yourself emotionally from your wife in this case, and also like your mom still, right? So creating that separation emotionally and learning how to handle your emotions. And then the other thing is the healing your inner child. So I'll go with the emotional aspect first. You need to learn how to resource yourself to regulate yourself without somebody, like in this case, again, your wife being any other mood, right? Right now, she gets upset or she's stressed about something, and you could have had a great day. And then you walk in the door and you don't even hear her word. You just see her
Yeah.
facial expression, her body, her energy, and you're already going into a panic, right? And so it's being able to first catch yourself and then resource yourself enough internally to be able to create enough space to know like I am safe even though she's feeling what she's feeling. Right. So there's emotional work. Like I do a lot of somatic experiencing in somatic work in my coaching sessions. And then from that, build the awareness of how to bring that into his day-to-day life. There's a simple protocol that I give all my clients, and I can sort of share that with all of us,
Yes, please.
with you guys
Yeah.
today. And it's an acronym. It's STAY. So it's the word stay. And so I'll let you know what that means. So each letter is a step. So S is to stop, pause. What are we stopping? Stopping the reaction. Whether we're going to panic, whether we're going to try and fix or dismiss or shut down or try and run away, whatever the reaction is, we're trying to stop ourselves from engaging in it. It's going to happen because it's automatic. Like it's not that you're just going to be like, I'm never going to have this reaction again. No, it's going to happen.
Right.
But when we realize it, when we notice it, can we stop? Can we stop from engaging in it? And then as soon as we stop, the T is for touch. Touch means to be able to connect to your body, to notice your body touching the earth. So your feet on the ground. If you're sitting on a chair, your bum on the chair and your back resting on the chair, can you notice the sensations of your body touching the earth? Because you need to get out of your head. Because in that moment, you're already spiraling. Like, what
Yeah.
am I supposed to say? What's going on here? Blah, blah, blah. You're stuck in your head and you need to get into your body. So the T gets you into your body. The A is for air. So taking a deep breath or 3 breaths is always the best if possible. You need to be able to take that deep breath, which is a deep inhale and a longer exhale. So the way that I teach it is a 4 second inhale, 2 second hold, 6 second exhale. The 6 seconds, the exhale that's longer than the inhale helps the body relax.
Yeah.
So even just taking one of those conscious breaths will support in that situation. And then the why is essentially stay with yourself. It doesn't rhyme with the why, but it's stay with yourself and stay with yourself internally with your internal self-talk.
Yeah.
So that's when you come in because the mind going, I got to fix this. Oh my gosh, your mind is going to start telling yourself so many stories that is actually not true. right? It's the inner child saying, "Oh my goodness, I can't deal with this. Oh my gosh, she's going to be blah blah blah." And so at the end, once you get into your body, once you connect to your body, once you use your breath to slow down your heart and settle your nervous system, then that's when you can come in and reinforce with an empowering statement, which is she's allowed to feel what she's feeling, and I'm safe to feel what I feel. I'm not in danger right now. I can handle the situation. There could be, again, depending on the person, the
Yeah.
man, different phrases, but being able to like resource yourself enough. And so getting good at taking those steps in that moment already creates that separation so that you can handle that situation differently. Because when we get reactive, we're not in our prefrontal cortex. We're not in the front part of our brain. We're in the back part of our brain. And so we're lost in emotions. We can't really think clearly. Like when we get emotional, we can't think clearly. And so that process will help the guy in this case slow down and be able to get back online and like actually think clearly in that moment. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes great sense. I love that because you're talking about the concept of regression, and John Lee made that concept world famous. He wasn't the first one, but it's from his books and whatnot. When we regress, we emotionally leave the present moment and we become like children who are not getting what they need or want or what have you. And so you said something fantastic that we want to fix it. And when the guy's been unfaithful or had an addiction or both, we can't fix it. But from your coaching practice, working with men for these years and all that, why do we just think that we need to fix it? Where does that come from?
I think that's wired into our DNA as men, first and foremost, right? We're fixers. We're the go-getters. We're meant to go out there and make sure that things work so that the family can survive. So it's sort of in us since being, in a sense, caveman or tribal, like out in the
Yeah.
wild. So it's inbred in us in our DNA. So we have to give ourselves a little bit of grace about that because we just like to fix things for the most part. So that's like inherently in us. And the fix it is like, if I can fix this issue, then the issue's gone, right? So I don't have to deal with her emotions. I don't have to deal with the problem. I don't
Right.
have to deal with I don't have to deal with what's going on inside of me right now because she brought up this problem or this issue. So if
Is
I can
that
just
okay?
fix it,
That's a great point. Do you think that we're like now that could be created? Oh, I don't want to deal with her. I don't want to deal with her. But you said something really insightful. It's I don't want to deal with her because it's bringing up stuff inside of me.
inside of
It
me,
doesn't
yeah,
necessarily mean her. It is what's going on inside of me. Is
ex-
that right?
exactly. Which comes back to um, what we are talking about earlier. You walk in the room and your wife is in whatever mood and something gets triggered in you.
Yeah.
She never even pointed that energy
Right.
towards you. She was just there. But again, wiring from our childhood, that those wounds that still exist, that nervous system that still sees mom goes, oh my gosh, and that those same feelings come up, that discomfort comes up in the body, the shame comes up in the body, all these things come up. And so when we don't know how to handle our emotions, the only way I know how to relax what's going on inside of me is to fix what's going on outside of me,
Yeah.
right? And so that's the whole thing. But once we know how to resource ourselves and take care of what's going on internally, we can let the situation be what it is, right? Because even like when we go back to like people pleasing, why do people do that? It's because I don't know how to deal with that discomfort inside. It's the same thing. It's
Yeah.
all the same thing. And so that's why the that emotional intelligence work, the maturity work, the resourcing emotionally is so key because you need to allow that person to have their own experience. A lot of times our wife is not looking for us to fix anything or do anything. She just wants our presence to hear her out. Or she doesn't want us to do anything. She just wants to be mad for a bit.
Yeah.
Like, can you let your wife be mad because she had a bad day at work instead of like trying to, again, to fix it because it's so uncomfortable for you, right?
So I love what you're saying, especially for when there's infidelity. We are like, I got to fix this and I got to make it better, and we can't. And this is where we teach a lot of men the powerlessness that comes from I can't fix her, but I can be empathetic and I can be kind and et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
But you've said we need to learn how to resource ourselves. So, for maybe someone that hasn't done this inner work, or they're like,
Mhm.
okay, Kevin, you got me. I want to do the deeper work. What does learning how to resource ourselves look like and feel like?
Several ways. One, practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness meditation is so key. Breath work is so key. Another thing that I teach my clients and I can share is I get my clients to put alarms on their phone and do what I call a self check-in, because we go through our day and we don't even check in with ourselves and know what's going on and know how to handle that. We just go on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And we turn to the coffee and to this and to that to help us get through all the emotions of the day instead of actually getting really curious about what are we actually feeling? What triggered us? And what do I need in this moment? Right. So we have to start in those simple ways is to just make connection with what's actually going on inside of us. Right. And so getting very curious multiple times a day, what am I actually feeling? And not just mentally, but like connecting somatically.
Yeah,
Like, is there a tightness in my chest or my throat feels closed or are my hands sweaty, which is
right.
like anxiety, with the hands sweaty. But like, there's different cues that your body is giving you that's tied to the emotion. And we need to know that somatic experience in our body to start linking things together to like, oh, I'm actually really anxious right now. Because a lot of us, like me in the past, I was so anxious for so long, a lot of times, that it was a normal state. I didn't even know I was anxious. But now I know based on what my body tells me, I go, oh, I'm anxious again.
Yeah,
I can't like cognitively tell myself I'm anxious, but I can sense in my body that I'm anxious.
yeah.
Right. So that's one of the first things to do is to start getting in connection with our emotional world, our experience in our body, and really understanding it, not just mentally, but also again, experiencing it, really being connected to it. And like, yeah, I feel that tightness in my chest, that pit in my stomach, sweaty palms, like all those things.
So, when we are in this state of panic, where as a man, we're like, men tell me and have told me for 20 years, what am I coming home to when there's betrayal trauma? Is she going to be happy, mad, sad, glad, or is she going to murder
Mhm.
me, or is she just not even going to talk to me? And so, this idea of resourcing themselves and learning how to find this homeostasis internally, how do you help them? Maybe they can ground themselves and then they start to engage in a conversation, and the wife ramps up, or she's triggered, or she's flooding, or she's having a difficult day. How do you help men hold on to themselves rather than
Mhm.
just ramp up with her, get defensive, get angry, and then we play, well, let me play find the bad guy. Well,
Yes,
if you didn't yell at me, and if you, and then we police their tone, and we need them to be perfect in the way that they communicate with us. How do
exactly.
you help men stay in the argument or the intense
Yeah,
conversation without reverting or regressing to defensiveness and anger and all of that?
sure. So again, there's the practical and then there's the deeper work, which I didn't touch on because I was talking about inner child. But the practical, again, this day is important. If you're practicing mindfulness and breath work, that supports your nervous system, have a better baseline. You expand your capacity emotionally when you do these practices over time, right? So it's like going to the gym. You're not
Yeah.
just going to go to the gym once and build that muscle. You need to do it over time to create the muscle, right? And so the same thing, having these practices before you walk in the home, yeah, taking a few minutes and doing some breath work or a meditation and just like grounding yourself so that you're like, I know I could be walking into who knows what, like a shit show, right?
Yeah.
But at least I'm feeling like I'm already grounded and not taking on the stress of the day into the home, right?
Yeah.
In the moment, yeah, stay is really important, like I just described a few minutes ago. Another thing that I teach my clients were because, a lot of the men that I do coach are men who are married and there's issues in the marriage, maybe mostly not because of infidelity, but for other reasons. And so, yeah, they could. come into the house and the wife all of a sudden brings up something that he didn't do right or could have done better, and here we go again, right? And again, the practical, and it sounds very simple, but it's powerful, is voicing what you're actually experiencing. So if the wife starts tearing her upset
Emotion,
with him,
pain. Yeah.
emotions and everything, and if he feels that he's shutting down, to voice, hey, I really want to hear what you have to say right now, but I'm noticing my whole body wants to shut down right now. Right. Even in the voicing of that, of like acknowledging it, it already creates some space from that reaction that's going on inside. And if you get defensive, it's saying the same thing. It's like, I'm noticing I'm getting defensive right now, and I don't want to do that. And so for me, I teach my clients to create a pause and like create an agreement ahead of time with your wife. Like, hey, I know defensiveness is a thing I've struggled with, and I'm trying to work through this. And so when I find myself defensive, I'm going to ask for a pause. Can you give me that space? And I'll come back to the conversation. And so create that agreement. And then in the moment, follow through. Hey, I'm getting defensive right now. I just need 5 minutes or I need 10 minutes. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Separate yourself, go to a different room. And there's a protocol that I teach my clients to go through, again, to get you back in a more grounded state, clear headed, and then come back into the situation. Right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's coming back. It's also not just the practical things, but it's what's getting triggered in you, right? When you hear the word, everybody uses what's getting triggered, right? You're triggered. What's getting triggered? A wound, right? Something inside of you that hasn't been resolved is coming up. And so that needs your attention. And so that's the deeper work that gets to be done
Yeah.
to help you, right? Because in the defensiveness, it's a lot of shame,
Yeah.
right? We defend ourselves because we feel so much shame coming up. So if we can work on that shame and the roots of that shame, that helps discharge that energy from us. So
Yeah.
it's not as strong in those moments.
Wonderfully
I'll,
said.
I'll pause for you to put anything in any like,
No, I think it's fantastic. And it's great that they're hearing this from another person because this is the DNA of how we help men who've been unfaithful learn how to show up for their wives in this dynamic who are triggered or flooding or even raging or they are in their amygdala, not in their prefrontal cortex. What do you do for the guy? And I'm being a little bit funny, but how do you help the guy that's like, Kevin, no matter what I do, she's not happy. It's never enough. It's never enough. No matter what I do, I'm always coming up short. What do you say to the guy that comes in and he's like, all these breath work stuff and all this witchcraft and voodoo is not working because no matter what I do, she's never happy. What do you do
yeah.
with that guy?
Well, two things. One, are you doing everything that you can? Or do you feel like you've done a few things and hasn't done anything? Have you given yourself enough time to show your wife that you're different? It's like for her to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to interact differently with you because I see you being different consistently, right? We need, when there's a betrayal or basically a loss of trust, right? If your clients, the men that you work with and support, it's through betrayal. A lot of the men that I coach, it's the trust is lost because they have been inconsistent. They haven't been there for the wives and supporting in the leadership and all that stuff and been there emotionally. And so at the end of the day, it's still you're trying to build that trust.
Right.
Trust is broken overnight, but it takes a long time to build back. And so have you been consistent enough with the man that you actually want to be that supports the healing of the relationship long enough so that she can see that change and sense it and feel it and know it,
Yeah.
right?
So when men are learning that they have a choice in how they respond, I think there's a nuance that many men don't realize that they can actually choose to not get defensive, to not match the energy of the wife in this dynamic, that they actually don't have to ramp up, right? So maybe she's struggling with emotions or flooding or triggered or even just having a conversation that requires him to be in his adult. And then her emotions go here. And then he continues to one up her. And now we've
Yeah.
just got two dysregulated
Yeah.
people
It's
who are
just
trying
escalating. Yeah.
to one up. How do you help the man realize, wait a minute, I don't have to lose my mind right now. I don't have to
Yeah.
answer fire with fire. How do you help
For
them
sure.
begin to build in the power or what I call the dignity of choice?
For sure. I think it comes to the way that I approach what the dynamic you're sharing right now is stepping out of victimhood to victorhood, to empowerment. A lot of guys will act like the victim
Yeah.
and be like, well, she's this way, and so she did this to me, so I'm gonna be this, and then no, 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 no. It's all her, right? It's her. When it's like, what are you saying? I don't have autonomy over myself. Like I don't have control over myself. Is that what you're saying? Really? Is that really what you're saying?
Yeah.
She controls you. No, well, no. Yeah, okay. So then you have the power within yourself to choose how you're going to interact, regardless of her,
Right.
right? It's not that you're going to be like the stone wall and nothing's going to ever affect you. Of course, things are going to come up, but you have the power within yourself to handle that the way you actually want to,
Yeah.
not blame it on the situation or the person or whatever. So
Yeah.
can you shift out of that victimhood into an empowered state to be an empowered man? To like, I'm not engaging in this, right? And then on top of it all, I think the other piece of this is being empathetic,
Yeah.
right? Like if you really step into her shoes, and obviously different stages of the relationship or the healing of the relationship means different things, but if you step into her shoes and you went through what she went through, how would you be?
Yeah.
And so instead of personalizing it, being like, "Fuck, yeah, of course she's going to be that way. Of course she's going to see me that way." I say this to a lot of my clients because I went through this, is your wife doesn't see the man in front of your wife sees the man that hurt her.
Yeah.
She has these rose colored glasses or the glasses that have filters, and the filter is the pain. And so she's going to still interact with you as if you're that man that
Yeah.
hurt her. Even if you've been weeks or months or a year into this work and she still hits that job and does this thing and still freaks out because you hurt her a year ago or you cheated on her. Yeah, she's not seeing the man in front of her. So can you have that perspective within yourself to like not take it personally? Of course you're gonna, of course.
Right.
Because when I was able to do that, a lot of things changed. Because again, I didn't personalize it. And so now I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to be there for her. And if you don't want to be there for your wife, what are you trying to repair?
Yeah. And
Right?
that's a great no nonsense statement. And so would you agree that in this dynamic, again, I want the viewer and the listener to understand this is a different dynamic, and I'm not usually locked in on one dynamic, but
Sure.
today that we are. Do you find that there is a process to helping a man move from a robotic attempt to be like, okay, I have to be empathetic. I got to do my work, somatic. Do you feel like it might start there, but eventually when they do the right work, they can get to an authentic expression of emotional maturity? How do you
Correct.
see
Yeah.
that change
Yeah,
within you
it's very similar
guys?
to what you just said. It at first sounds or it feels almost like robotic, like I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do that. But if you're doing it with good intention, if you're doing it not like I just have to do this and this and this for things to get better, but it's because the man that you want to be, right? This is
Yes.
again another approach that I take with my clients. Don't do this work. Don't sign up and work with me because you want to do this for her,
Right.
because you want to fix the relationship. You doing this because you want to be a different man. You want it's for the man that you actually want to be, how you want to show up moving forward, whether you're with her or not.
Yeah.
And because if you're doing it for you, then it doesn't become a robotic thing. Yes, it becomes like, I got to do this, I got to do that, but I'm doing this because I want this for myself. And then eventually, yeah, it becomes second nature,
Yeah.
right? It becomes, we're just so used to it. And we've gotten so good with handling ourselves that, again, it becomes more normal, right? Again, we're doing things, we're bringing things in that most of us were never taught. We don't know
Right.
how to do, we've never experienced before. So it's
Right.
a whole new reality that we're stepping into. So we got to give ourselves some time to adjust to that new reality of how we handle ourselves and handle these situations, right?
It's so good. So before we say goodbye, I like to ask guests this, for the guy that's out there and most of my audience, right, has been through infidelity or betrayal or addiction. For the guy that's out there that's like, man, I just don't know if I can do this. Like, I like what you're saying, Kevin. I like what you're saying, Sam, but I just don't know that I'm willing to take this journey. What would you say to that man that's like, man, I know I got these issues, but I'm terrified to do it because I don't want to start and fail, or I don't want to launch out and then crash and burn like I've done so many times. How do you
Yeah.
help that guy realize that this is an opportunity for personal transformation?
Yeah. It's first I would empathize and be like, of course, there's those doubts, of course, those concerns, the fears that come up. It all makes sense. It all makes sense. And I'm going to be really direct. It's like wherever you go, there you are. So whatever you're avoiding to work on or address within yourself, you're just going to take it with you. So even if you don't want to do the work to repair this relationship, what caused the relationship to get in that place in the first place, that's going to come with you.
Yeah,
You're going to have a different face, different body,
right.
but you're going to interact with that person in very similar ways
Yeah,
at the end of the day. Maybe not the first month or the first year, but eventually.
right.
And so when do you choose to, or do you choose, do you want different for yourself? Again, it's not about them. It's about you. How
Yeah,
do you want to show up for your future? And this, what in this case, the infidelity, that's the door that opened.
right.
Are you willing to walk through it and now really face yourself? Or maybe you're not. And that gets to be okay if you choose to, but don't fool yourself into thinking, well, I still want to do this now. It's not going to work with her, so I'm not going to do this now. And then you say that you're fine and you just move on, right? You got
Yeah,
to be really honest with yourself. Okay, maybe now's not the time, but when is the time going to come, right?
that's great.
Um, so yeah, it's not easy, right? Like again, I'm not doing this to like shit on men. Of course, it's not easy work to do.
Right.
Um,
It's not.
and it's necessary work to do. It's
Absolutely.
just when do we choose to do it? And a lot of us, we have to go through these very painful experiences in life to wake us up enough to be so painful enough for us to finally choose to do this work, right?
That's great.
Um,
It's great.
so
I love all that you're saying. So if guys want to read more about you, if women want to read your posts and say, "Hey, I found this dude, Kevin. You should read this. I think this is what's happening." If people even want to work with you or read more of your material, how do they find you? How do they read
yeah,
your material?
best place right now is Instagram. So my handle is at the Canvas Within, which is my business name, the Canvas Within. Or if you type in Kevin Benavides, you'll probably find me too. So Instagram, my website's almost done. I'm like a couple of weeks away from it being all done with all the information, and there will be blogs on there. And so that's going to be kevinbenavides.com. So in a few weeks, that'll be ready. But other than those two main places to find me and interact with my work and myself, and can reach out, ask me a question. I'm always open to answering questions. If somebody's like, "Hey, I didn't understand what you meant when you said this with Sam. What do you mean?" Oh,
Right.
I'm going to answer you. So feel
Awesome.
free to reach out.
Awesome. I love your heart to just help men become more emotionally mature. 25 some odd years ago, I wish you were around and I found your stuff because it would have made things a whole lot easier for me. I've had to do
I hear
this
you.
through so many different, mediums. And so for those of you that are watching and listening, I'm so glad that you tuned in. If you're a man and you need help, by all means, reach out to Kevin. If I can help in any way, you can reach out to me at samshealingpodcast@gmail.com or leave a comment. Of course, I'd always love for you to like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. So, Kevin, thank you so much for coming in. I hope you'll do it again sometime, but I love the work and your
Definitely
heart for men. So thank you.
love the conversation. I feel like we can go with a longer conversation. So I'm open to doing this again if you would have me back.
Absolutely. We'll do it again soon. Thank you again for
All
coming
right.
in, and we'll see all of you next time on the podcast.
Thank you.